Welcome, everybody. Today, I want to talk about America's dirty little secret. There's a $1 trillion industry that utilizes private prison labor forces. Now, major brands and companies that we've all used at one time or another, and the list is in the description so you can read it for yourself. They're paying prisoners as little as 4 cents per hour, some 2 cents per hour. Some prisoners have to do it for free. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you call into these companies sometimes. It's not just production and labor forces. There are also call centers who are taking reservations, and you're giving them pertinent information, your private information, name, address, phone number, social security number sometimes, credit card information, your children's information, and you think you're calling a reputable company, if you will, and prisoners are answering the phones. I mean, think about the magnitude of that. And I don't want some bleeding heart liberal sending me a message saying, well, at least, they're paying their debt to society and they're working. No, you don't seem to get it. If you're thinking that way, you really don't get it, and you're part of the problem. If you have corporations who have this demand for prisoners to do the work for little or nothing at all, you know what happens next? It's a trickle down effect. If at the top these corporations are demanding this labor force, it goes down into the criminal injustice system. There's two systems. There's the criminal justice system that actually works. Then there's the criminal injustice system that does it for the bottom dollar. So again, the trickle down effect. Once it hits the criminal injustice system, then law enforcement's ordered to go do roundups and put people in prison. Get them in there, funnel them in. And it's horrendous what's going on. I said it before. There's over 300 million people in the United States, correct? As far as censuses are concerned, who knows? It might be more by now. Last year, 58 million people were wrongfully arrested. Wrongfully arrested and charged. Now, that's not saying everyone was completely innocent. Let's not be naive here. But if someone's arrested for a charge that carries something like, probation or, 2 or 3 months of a program, they're getting hit with 3 or 4 years on a plea deal. And under the threat of, hey, if you take this to trial and you lose, you're doing 12 years. So take these 2 years, go do this prison labor program. You'll be out, get back into being productive part of society, and be back with your family. People that don't have the resources take those deals because out of fear, 2, they don't have any money to fight, and 3, they don't trust the system. You can't trust a system that's built not to protect you in the first place. Correct? So back to these companies. With these companies, you're with the demand being so big and these companies making trillions of dollars, guess what? Oil is no longer the number one commodity in the United States. It's now prisoners. Prisoners have become the number one commodity. They can produce products. They can, make services. They can be call centers. They can process things. Even when you purchase things on websites, there's someone processing that transaction. A lot of these companies in this list that's in the description are using prisoners to do it. Your information is going where? Think about that. With all this GDPR rules, I mean, we all get the emails, GDPR updates and all that. Who knows what that stuff really means? But it's your data protection. Your data is your information. And then you wonder, how did your credit card get scammed? How did your information, how did someone steal your identity? Well, there's your answer, partly. Right there in front of you. Private prison labor forces is modern day slavery. Modern day slavery without discrimination whatsoever. Man, woman, black, white, Asian, Hispanic, doesn't matter. They're taking everybody. And they're putting you to work for pennies on the dollar, if not for free. And it's forced labor. You don't get, stock options. You don't get profit sharing. You're forced to work. That is slavery. Now, it's not, again, not everyone in jail or prisons, I should say, are innocent, but some are. And they're just forced to work. We've all seen that story on the news. There's plenty of them. Someone gets out of jail after doing umpteen years of time, and they're handed a check for millions of dollars because, they were sitting in jail because they were wrongfully convicted. But I can guarantee you that day in court, when they're sitting there saying they're innocent, they've been saying they're innocent for the umpteen years, somebody was saying, nope, you're guilty, and this is why. It was a lie. You know how I know? I said it before. It happened to me. Even with video proof as evidence that I didn't commit a crime, prosecutors are still handing me deals, trying to get me to take a deal. They just wanted that conviction. They wanted that mark on their record so they can get a promotion. Think about that, ladies and gentlemen. You can't beat the system without the resources. The only way I was able to fight for my freedom is because I had the resources to do so. And that's what Cridine is all about. That's why I created this company, is to give people resources to fight for their freedom. You'd be surprised who gets arrested. And what for? Nonsense things. Jaywalking. We've had cases where people were, looking down at their phone crossing the street. How many of us do that? It happens every single day. Well, there's certain laws out there that say you can't do that. Unless you look up the law, you don't know that. It may be legal in the state, but within the city limits, it's illegal. You can get arrested for that. And how many of us would say, that's nonsense? Oh yeah, look it up. There's cases and cases of it. And you know what those cases cost? A lot of money to fight. And it's nonsense. But guess what? Those people are actually guilty because they broke the law. But think about this. You're sitting in a car at a red light. How many of us do what they call the red light prayer? Light turns red, you look down at your phone, you get this blue haze coming up. At night, it looks like a red light prayer. How many of us do that on a daily basis? Certain states that's illegal, certain states it's not. But again, who's the discriminating factors? Who has the authority to determine if it's legal or illegal, if it's just or unjust? It's in the hands of law enforcement, who are under tremendous pressure to make these arrests. Even though they're nonsense, they have to follow orders. Everyone's talking about all these police brutality cases and things. Do you ever notice, you can't have police investigating their own cases, because that's like, similar situation. Your child does something in school, you tell the principal, I'll handle it when we get home, whatever. Nothing happens. The kid gets grounded for a day and that's it, or minutes, and then that's it. Its situation's over. That's what's going on with these law enforcement cases of wrongful shootings, police charges getting dismissed, people going to street rioting. They count on it, ladies and gentlemen. They have insurance for it. They want you to go out there tearing up things. They get a check. It means nothing. Plus, most of the time you're tearing up your own neighborhood. They don't care. But I'm on a tangent right now. I went on a rant. Excuse me. Back to the private prison corporations and these companies utilizing these prison forces. Go through the list. See what brands of this stuff you have in your house. See if you shop at these stores. See if you have these products. See if you use these services. And then scratch your head and go, oh my goodness, the answer is yes. Fast food, a lot of fast food places, the food is made by prisoners. Think about that. Food we feed our children. I mean, the demand is there. It's sad. It is very sad. Try not to be a part of the problem, though. Be part of the solution. Cridine, we're trying to be a big part of the solution by offering resources to people that need it. If you're wrongfully arrested and charged right now, Do you have $50,000 to fight your case, to prove your innocence? Or are you going to be forced to take a plea deal? Even though you're innocent, you know you're innocent, you may be forced to take a plea deal that gets you on probation for 5 years, 8 years, 10 years. At least you're not behind bars, right? Well, no, because you have to check in. You miss one check-in, you can get your probation violated and they lock you up, put you behind bars. Let's think about what's really going on. It's about the money. Now you know it. It's about the money. All these prison camps, it's about the money. You know, everyone right now is up in arms about the children being separated at the border when they illegally cross with their parents. Guess what? They're weeding them out, ladies and gentlemen. They're hand picking. They're saying, "Ah, this is a brand new generation, young workforce coming in here." Guess where they're at? They're at the private prisons, put to work. That's why the media can't get in there and they don't let visitors in there. They're in there working. There's no child work laws when they're immigrants, when they're illegal. They have no rights. They're making money for corporations. And then their parents are on the other side making money for the corporations. This is all about money. And again, in the description, look up the companies, but I'm also going to put a link in there for a video that talks about the actual stock symbols of these private prison corporations and how much money they're making, in that the contracts they have with the government and the immigration department to fill these prisons. So this is all a money game. It's not a humanity situation. You know, they're telling us we're running out of food, we're running out of water, immigrants this, immigrants that. There's people that come into this country legally, they go through the process, they get admitted, they go to work, they become productive parts of society. There's people that, you know, come in illegally who mean no malice. They want to go to work. They want a better life for their family. I get it, but you got to go through a process. I mean, Ellis Island, Statue of Liberty, that's what that was about. It was a process to take in immigrants. We understand that. We know it. It's in our history. You know, there's African Americans, us, we didn't have a choice. Our ancestors were brought here, period, on ships against their free will. However, if you do your lineage, some are Moors who were here before Christopher Columbus, and I'm going on a history rant, but I'm sorry. Some were here before Christopher Columbus and were wealthy businessmen. And that's where my lineage came from in doing research. It's not from the slave ships. My lineage came from Moors who were already here. We have to wake up and look at it. Everything that's going on, everyone's up in arms. Even the news, you watch the news and see these riots and see all this stuff and this little hog turd running around about gun control, whatnot. It's all for you to watch the news. The news gets more advertising dollars, which is revenue. It's a money game. They need content. Think about it. Do something to be part of the solution and see how the world turns into a better place. Each one of us, in our lifespan, whether you live 2 minutes, whether you live 100 years, each one of us will influence 100,000 people in our lifespan. Is your influence going to be a good one or a bad one? The choice is yours.